Chelsea through to the fourth round of the FA Cup. A comfortable, professional performance from them to beat Morecambe. Really important goals, I feel, for Kai Havertz and Timo Werner as they try to rebuild their confidence under Frank Lampard at Stamford Bridge. Mason Mount with an absolute perler to get things on the way. In other news, Leeds United utterly humbled, utterly embarrassed, getting beat 3-0 by Crawley. Crawley even had time to bring on Towie star Mark Wright. It was so easy. Bielsa is in the mud today. We're going to delve into it. We're going to take your calls, go through your comments. Smash the like button now. Let's do this. Yes, people. Chelsea are through. And you know what? I know a lot of people are going to go on at Chelsea here and give it the whole, it was an easy game, League One side, simple, it shouldn't be celebrated. You had to stop the rot. And not only did you stop the rot with a victory, you scored some good goals. Some of your kind of young and sort of up-and-coming players, new purchases, came out and did the business in all intents and purposes today, made it professional, didn't allow anything to go wrong. And Chelsea now have to try and use this as a base camp to move forward from. That's my view. Are you going to sort of remember this victory for the rest of your lives against Morecambe? Absolutely not. But stopping the rot was really, really important. Super chat here says, crazy how the media gushes over Bielsa ball. We showed them up at Old Trafford. Absolutely. Listen, I respect a lot of things about what Leeds United are doing. I've had quite a few of their fans on the channel this year, and they like how they're playing. But criticism, they got beat 3-0 by Crawley. That's embarrassing, bruv. Legitimately embarrassing. It really, really is. The devil's advocate there, I completely agree with you. Humbling, horrible defeat for Leeds United. You had a very simplistic draw. It's Crawley Town. Mark Wright came on. Chelsea fans, give me your thoughts, give me your feelings after what for me was really good. I thought it was a good performance from yourself, to be fair. I know a lot of people are going to sort of scoff at you if any of you celebrate it, because that tends to be the sort of the attitude of modern day fans in recent times. Everybody seems to want to, I don't know what the word is here, but everybody seems to want to like overreact and or underreact at times, which I actually find crazy, to be honest with you. I find it legitimately mad. That that's the way these things have kind of now gone, that you can't even celebrate winning an FA Cup game. I understand that if your performance was bad, it might not feel as good, but it was a decent performance. It really was a decent performance. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. So, yeah, I think you should be very proud of what you did today in terms of getting it done with no problems. We've seen a lot of teams in early stages of FA Cups when they've been in bad form mess up. But I want to hear from you, and I want to know, who are the standouts for you today? Who are the individuals today that really took the ball by the horns? You look at that starting lineup for the game today. Billy Gilmore, how was his performance? Did he stand out? How do you think he did? Mason Mount, much maligned, scored a great goal. Ziyech, of course, starting, getting that assist. Werner didn't look out of place. Hudson-Odoi as well, I think, was a good performance as well, with a goal and an assist for him as well. Do any Chelsea fans think this will act as a bit of a springboard to push on from? Or are you kind of feeling that maybe that's a little bit too much of a push to see how you get on in your next league game, which I think is midweek, is it not? On the 15th, so 5 days' time. So, yeah, that'll be is that Thursday, Friday, something like that. So you got to wait Friday. You're actually playing against Fulham. It's not actually midweek. It's part of next week's games. Will this stand, as this, do you feel like you're stopping the rot with this game is the question that I'm asking. I'm going to go to some of your comments here. Leeds are a small club. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. They are a small club. I'm sorry, Leeds fans. I had to say it. I just had to say it. Gilmore controlled the game is what Patrick says here. Yeah, I thought he did well. I thought he played really, really well out there. I thought his performance was professional. I thought his application was good. And what was probably really good for Billy Gilmour today is that he was surrounded by talented players. So he had good quality around him, which meant he was able to flourish. If they would have played this game and they would have put another kid next to him, you may have seen Billy Gilmour struggle. And I think young players do need. You think about young players that have really developed to go into the highest level in football. How many have actually done that playing in a team of mainly kids? I don't know if that's actually happened in that context. Normally, they're surrounded by others. So yeah, I thought he did really, really well today. As I mentioned, Hudson-Odoi as well. Put some respect on Callum Hudson-Odoi. Excellent performance today. Can he now push on? Havertz and Werner as well. I would love people's thoughts and feelings on them. Are they going to be able to push on from this point? Daniel here, one of our members, says if we lost to Crawley or Morecambe, we would get slandered. Yeah, listen, Leeds United deserve a lot of criticism for getting beat by Crawley Town. There's no doubt about it. I think any Premier League team that gets beat by somebody outside of the Championship, there needs to be an inquest. That needs to be dissected, but not just beat. They got beat 3-0. And when you go through that Leeds United team, right, let's actually go through this and be fair about it, right? A lot of their main players started the game. They had some serious players out there. They really brought up. They really had some of their good players on that pitch, and they made substitutions, and they still couldn't turn it around. Embarrassing. Paul Ross here says Gilmour needs to start properly. Well, you know what's interesting with Billy Gilmour? I was saying last season about Curtis Jones at Liverpool. You never really know the quality of an individual until they start to play meaningful games and start on a regular basis within the Premier League, because and go week in, week out. Can they might be. So what we have to see happen with some youngsters is they can raise their level for particular games, but can they maintain that level through 5-6 games in a month? That's always a big question that needs to be posed. And you only find that out with them playing games, really. Terry, Newcastle beat them 7-0. Beat who 7-0? Maybe I've missed this one. I don't know every result that's ever happened in football. So, I don't know. Who are you referring to? Paul here says, for me, it's not enough because Kai and Timo, it's Morecambe, but it's a good win. Yeah, I'm just, as a Chelsea fan, I suppose what you've got to be hoping for is that it instills a little bit of, it's the word I'm looking for, oomph. It instills a little bit of fight and a bit of joy and a bit of confidence back into these players for them to grow from. That's what you've got to hope for. You were up against professional footballers today, men today. With all due respect to Liverpool, you were playing against kids. They're playing against 15, 16, 17-year-olds. It's a very different kettle of fish. And in fairness, Morecambe, in the opening parts of the game, they really pushed and they harried and they put little bits of pressure on. You saw some sort of iffy moments at the back from Chelsea as well. There was a back header from Kai Havertz that caused problems for Kepa. There was a good save made by Kepa as well. So there were moments in the game that Chelsea had to get through. And you could see that there was some rustiness, there was some cobwebs. There was almost a little bit of indecision from this Chelsea side. But they pushed on from that point. And I think did themselves proud in the end. And I genuinely mean that. What I saw from Chelsea today is what I expected from Manchester United yesterday. For there to be a bit of a message, a bit of a performance where you can tell that one's a Premier League side and the other one isn't. And you saw that today in abundance. So I think that's fair today. Terry was hoping Chelsea to slip up. Of course. I want every single rival. I want every single member of the top 6 plus Leicester and Wolves. I want them to all go out of the FA Cup next round without Man United playing them, because then it's our trophy to win. We're going to win it. Do you know what I'm saying? Invariably, look at the last 20 years of football. It's been one of about 5 teams that have won it each year, barring the odd anomaly. So if those 5 teams are not in the FA Cup, it's highly likely the remaining 6th one will win. Of course. But I'll give credit where credit is due. We've got David that's coming on the line now. We're going to share the link with yourselves. If you want to come on and have your say, make sure you're smashing the like button and signing up to the Discord server. Really important to the football test that you get that done. David, welcome back, mate. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah. What did you make of your team's display against Morecambe today?
I only saw the second half because I took a nap and I overslept and I wasn't really bothered because it was Morecambe.
You miss Mason Mount's scream.
I've seen the goal. I've seen the goal. And the funny thing is, people are giving me grief about it. Now, what I find funny about this is that the exact thing I've been asking him to do, he did, and people are now starting to give me grief. My problem with Mason Mount is that I said he wasn't contributing enough from open play. He does something from open play, and everyone's like, "Oh, David, why you see what Mason Mount can do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but he's not doing that week in, week out." This is my problem with him. It's Morecambe, and again, these were the same people that when I was saying Havertz hasn't been as bad as you will think he's been, that were like, "Oh, his hat trick in the League Cup doesn't count because it was Barnsley." So, like, which one is it? Is it that Mason Mount's had a good game today, even though it's Morecambe, or is it it's Morecambe, so who cares?
Well, I think it's context is always important in these things. I wouldn't look at any of the goals or moments today and say that proves they're going to be, or they are top class players in, you know, from a consistency point of view. I think it was really important with the run of form that you've been on to bounce back and have a good performance, if that makes sense. And you got that from a lot of your stars today. The most embarrassing thing to have happened, it would have been for you to have scraped to 1-0 or it gone to extra time, as an example, because I think that would damage the. I actually think Liverpool's first half display against Aston Villa, damaged their confidence because they had the big boys out there against children. I mean, some of those people needed a letter from their parents to be allowed to play, and which is a madness when you think about it. Their mum and dad had to write a permission note because of their age. They had to make sure the insurance covered them for whatever reasons. And that first half display, you can tell it could damage them. I think Man United's second half, if that was Man United's first team yesterday in that performance against Watford, it'd be damaging for confidence massively, I think. So I think that element's important to look at. Saying you're back and you're going to win the league or anything, like Monsters pray for our rivals, I would say, listen, relax a little bit on that one. But you're still in the competition. I suppose what the FA Cup really needs, it needs a couple of the big boys to clash next round. The one thing I'd say about this, we were all looking forward to the Villa-Liverpool game because it was the only real Premier League clash. Newcastle, Arsenal, I suppose, but Newcastle were...
honestly, just give me Chorley next round. Give me Chorley. Like, I'm one of these people, like, you remember when we did the Champions League stream and I was like, make it as easy as possible. And like, you guys got your group and you were all there like, no, it's a challenge. We love a good challenge to get through the group. And I was there like, no, I don't.
I hear you on that. I think that what I'd say is different here. I agree with you with the FA Cup. Because with the FA Cup, we can win it. With the Champions League, because I didn't believe we could win it, even if we got... Because the knockout stages are not even... If it was one round knockout stages, I think it changes the whole concept of the Champions League. Because invariably, how often have you seen the underdog win the first game, but then go out because of the second match? Because the bigger and better team comes back and they're just that bit better, they're that bit stronger and faster. And whatnot. If it was, and this year is even better in the FA Cup because it ends on the day.
Yeah,
ends on the day. I mean, the last thing Arsenal would have wanted yesterday would have been a trip all the way up to Newcastle to replay that game in a week or so's time. It would have added an extra game to their very, very busy schedule. But no, I hear what you're saying. I'm the same. I'd love Chorley at Old Trafford next round, or if Spurs get knocked out by the Marines. Is it the Marines?
No, it's the Marine. It's a place. There's a place called Marine. I've never heard of it.
I thought, like the police and the army, Marines have football teams.
Yeah.
And they do play, I think, I thought it was them when I saw it today. Someone said it was the Marines. But yeah, I mean, I've never heard of this place.
Never, literally.
I'm fairly well versed when it comes to like sort of UK geography. And I'm like, I didn't know it was there. It's just Marine. I was like, where's that? I mean, you'd want them, wouldn't you? Did you hear about the sponsorship thing as well that happened there? You seen it?
No.
So Jamie, there's his local business has been sponsoring them all year. So their business is on the dugouts and a big sign in between the two dugouts. And the camera angle today is going to have their logo on the TV all day. But there's a clause in the contract that says for any televised games, we can resell the pitch for those games. And Jamie Carragher's charity is now sponsoring it. And the guy that owns the business, he isn't really having a pop. He's saying, look, money speaks, and I understand it's in the contract. It's just gutting that.
Yeah, it would have been perfect for him. It would have been perfect. As
a local business, especially going through the times that the world has been through. and it's caused this controversy online. People saying, "How dare you? You're a business, but they're a charity." And it's like, no, listen, he's not having a pop. He's just
not saying don't give to charity. He's just saying like what it could have done for my business at the same time would have been beneficial.
Yeah. Listen, Jamie Carragher is getting the name of his charity out there, and it'll be great exposure for the charity. And I don't know what they do, but I'm sure they do fantastic work for people. I just suppose there's a lot of businesses out there after this last 12 months that feel like they need every bit of advertising they can get. Because businesses have gone through this, but then so charities, and I totally understand it. I just saw it and I was like, I don't think it's even morally wrong of the football club because they've got to earn money as a business, and it was probably an opportunity to sell that space for 10 times the money they would normally get, because I bet they never dreamed they would get a televised game.
Yeah, isn't it? Especially against Spurs as well.
Yeah. So it's absolutely that. Someone who says, Terry, talk about City. Yeah, you beat Birmingham 3-0. Well done.
Did you even watch it? Did anyone watch it?
I had the Crawley game on because I was intrigued to see whether Mark Wright would come on. I had the Chelsea game on. I was also cooking dinner at the same time. So I was like, I couldn't watch three. It's hard to watch two games at once intently. It's even harder to watch three. So no, I didn't watch it, which is why I'm not talking about it. So I do apologize. I do apologize there. A few people getting the knickers in a twist because I'm not having a pop at Jamie Carragher. If you took I'm having a pop at Jamie Carragher out of that, I honestly think you need to see a doctor. You do. People are weird, bruv. They are legitimately weird when it comes to this sort of stuff. Yeah. Terry, learn England's geography. Bruv.
Bro, you don't know Marine. No one's heard of Marine.
Let's actually have a look. Where is Marine in the UK? Marine UK. Actually, Marine AFC, I think is what they're called. So I'll just search where they are. See, I just want to see where in the world they are. Where is it on? You know, when you search it, it doesn't even come up on maps. Just go to maps.
Oh my god!
I want to see where it is. You know, normally you get a map showing you where something is. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right. So Marine AFC. Search. Go to maps. Where they at? Okay, that don't really help me. I need to zoom out a bit. So they're on the coast. That makes sense. Oh, they're near Liverpool. They're up near Liverpool, near St Helens. See, if somebody said to me, "Oh, they're in between St Helens and Southport." So I've heard, like, so if someone said to me they're near Southport, I'd know exactly where it is. But I just never heard of Marine. So basically, they're really small seaside town near. They're in Crosby. Okay, like the Crosby area, just in Liverpool. So they're basically Scousers. This is okay. That's why Jamie Carragher sponsored them. It actually makes sense. I should have put two and two together. But yeah, I've never heard of it, bro. I've never been there. Probably never going to go there. I didn't realize there was a place in Essex until years ago called Mersey. I had a family member that moved to Mersey. I thought they were moving Liverpool. You know, like Mersey in Essex. I'm like, I don't know. I was a kid. I was like, okay, sweet as. One of them ones. What did you make of Kai Havertz and finding Timo today?
I thought, I missed Timo's goal as well, which is so like I've only just seen it now. Timo's, he couldn't have. Knowing Timo, he actually could have missed, but he got the goal, so it's cool. But I'm not sure this is the goal that gives him the confidence because again, they are called the Shrimps. It's not like they aren't the scariest team in the world, and they also got hit by COVID as well, just to make things worse, and they were resting players because they've got a game, and it was like. So the area scored, and I thought Havertz was man of the match in my opinion from what I watched, but it's Morecambe. Like you can't get ahead of yourself when it's Morecambe. You just can't.
I do understand that, and I think that's a sensible way to sort of look at it and view it. If we're being honest, I think that's a sensible thing to do. I think what I would take, and I'm looking at this again as a neutral, is you did it very comfortably. A few little shakes earlier on, but because you did it so comfortably, I think it will serve to give you guys some confidence. A super chat here from Happy TV UK says Bielsa took his top players off at halftime. Legend. Look, I mean, what do you make of this? Like, I know a lot of people praise Bielsa's football because I think for the ability merchants and the sort of,
it looks nice.
Do you know the irony about Bielsa's style? If you don't have passion, work rate, desire, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Do you know what makes me laugh about the ability merchant, right? The greatest players in the world have both ability and passion, right? You can get away with having less ability if your passion and dedication is really high. Generally, if you have amazing ability but none of the determination, you fall away, which is why a passion merchant is always better than an ability merchant. In my view, I'd take them. Again, not all of them. But they're gone out 3-0 to Crawley. That's got to be embarrassing, hasn't it? Like, it has to be spoken about more, considering that he was one of the shortlists for World Manager of the Year. I swear he was. I swear he was on the list.
Yeah. But Klopp won it, and Hansi Flick won a treble. Like, it's not exactly an award to be like, this is the stand, this is the ultimate thing to win. It's like, there's like, have you like seen this thing called the Globe Soccer Awards? Like they have like Ronaldo won Player of the Century, even though it's only been 20 years. And like there was another one where it was like Agent of the Year for 10 straight years. George Mendes has won it. Like for the whole 10 years, and it's sponsored by his company.
There we go. That happens a lot in the financial industry. So I used to get when I worked for Barclays, I used to get invited to all the different events. We'd go, and all these people would win awards. It wasn't until I started doing consulting, you realized all the banks and companies that were winning the awards were the sponsors of these shows.
Yeah.
So basically, what happens is you get invited along to like an industry awards night. Could be for compliance or something to do with, fintech or payments, all these nonsense within the financial world. And it's like, oh, would you like a sponsorship this or a sponsorship booth here, there, and there? Basically, if you said yes, you won. Like you won if you said yes.
The thing is about Leeds, right? Is that this is probably the best thing for, like, I know it's embarrassing losing to Crawley, but considering how much they run, having an FA Cup run is probably something you don't need. Like,
yeah, I think so. But again, this is where I'm getting a bit. I understand the money in football is massive, but winning trophies has to matter. It really does. And for me, like, it's a tough one. If somebody said, would you come fifth and win an FA Cup or no trophy and come fourth? The only reason I picked the Champions League is that hopefully it gives you, it depends actually. For Arsenal, I'd pick fifth in FA Cup because it's a trophy. Because I don't think your club has the ambition to win the league. In fact, with Man United, I'm not always sure we have the ambition to win the Champions League. So maybe winning the FA Cup and coming fifth is a trophy more than we're going to win if we're in the Champions League. But I do feel there's that element of like, they're not going to finish in the top four for 3 or 4 years, Leeds, at all, in my opinion. They're not going to get relegated this year because there's a lot worse teams than them. Go on a cup run. I think they're the kind of team that could win an FA Cup because it's a bit like I felt sorry for Aston Villa with all the problems they had with COVID because the way they've played this year, they could win these FA Cups, especially as there's no replay. Meaning they had a night where they were just better than City or better than United, better than Chelsea. They could see it through. The amount of times we've seen these smaller sides outplay a top 6 team in an FA Cup, get a draw, nick a draw. Like in the end, the big team nicks a draw, and then in the replay, they just get absolutely blown away. But we'll see. Someone you reminded me of something as well. Do you ever remember seeing, you're probably too young for this, Michael Jackson? Michael Jackson once upon a time got recognized at an MTV thing, and I think it was Britney Spears that gave him an award. But it was basically a happy birthday award. It was nothing else. But he didn't get the message. And I'll get the story slightly wrong, but he basically, you said about awards not meaning anything. He kind of went up on stage and like started thanking everybody and basically what an honor it is to get this achievement. I think he thought it was like pop star of like the greatest pop star of all time award. It was mad. What's this here from iTest? It says English fans hate on Leeds and Bielsa because they don't like the sauce. Their favorite crisps is ready salted at the football terrace. Actually, my favorite flavor crisp is salt and vinegar.
No,
I love salt and vinegar. Followed by beef and onion. After that, I'd go cheese and onion. I don't want a pack of Worcester sauce flavor either. They're pretty good. But there aren't really many varieties.
I can't lie. Ready salted is in my top 3, you know. I rate ready salted. I think it's so basic, but when you get a good packet as well,
I'll tell you what's good. Beef hula hoops.
Oh, yeah, the beef hula hoop.
Especially, you get all the dust at the bottom. Oh, yeah. They're really good. I don't mind ready salted like Pringles originals. Like they're the original. They're just called original, aren't they? I don't think they've got a flavor. I think they're just called originals. But yeah, they're really good. But no, listen, English fans. So first of all, hold back on the xenophobia, please. First, the Anglophobia, whatever it may be. Lots of English people, by the way, because pretty much every single Leeds fan's English, like what Bielsa does. I've not got an issue with the source, and you misinterpret me now, I test. I have an issue with the overpraise they get. I have an issue with the fact that they're being spoken about as being groundbreaking and brilliant and beautiful, when in fact they're just very gun-ho and they don't keep anybody at the back. And you know, if you go into a boxing ring as a decent boxer and you just swing bombs, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. Sometimes you're going to beat people better than you because you're going to catch them on the chin, but invariably you're going to get caught and knocked out, and that's what they do. And for me, it doesn't make you as good as AJ or Tyson Fury just because you can throw bombs. Comment here, David, Mason Mount or Jay Lings? Who would you pick?
I take Mason Mount.
Yeah, Mason Mount is better than Jesse Lingard. There's no doubt about it at all. It is what it is. Michael Jackson, Artist of the Decade Award. That might have been what it is. You know, go watch it on YouTube later. It's one of those moments where you're enjoying cringing so much. It's so bad. It really, really is. Get some of your questions into myself and David while we sit here with you. Thoughts on the game as well. Paul says people from Leeds have a thing with gravy. I have a mate on my contact name as Save the Gravy, being from Leeds. Northern people in general like gravy on most foods, gravy on their. I remember a couple of my boys from Manchester came down. We went to the Chippy near me when I was living in Essex, and they were like, "Oh yeah, can I have chips and gravy?" And the guy just like, "You what, mate? Chips and gravy? I don't do gravy here, bruv. Like, no, don't do that." And they were like, "All right, chips and curry sauce." No, don't do that. We can make you some curry sauce and you can pour it on yourself. And he goes, "Isn't it just a dish that you sell with chips and curry sauce?" No, but the Chinese do it down in the southeast, but they were shocked by it, bruv. But other different little differences, like when I lived in Manchester, nearly every meal that we ate in my mate Jason's house, and I love living there with Jimmy and Christine, they fried chips, and there was almost a whole loaf of bread buttered on the table, like a whole loaf of white bread buttered on, like breakfast. You'd be like this much, and like Sunday dinner buttered bread. I was like, you must go for about 10 loaves of bread. Only 4 of us in the house, but I love that. Yeah, I love that sort of thing. But yes, it's one of them Tato crisps. Oh, I love an Irish Tato. Tato crisps are great. I like Tato snacks. They're called Tato snacks in Ireland. They're great. And they do these other crisps. You can only get them in Ireland. Well, I don't know if you can get them anywhere else. I've only ever seen them in Ireland. They're called Hunky Dories. They're a little bit like McCoy's, but they're called Hunky Dories, and they do buffalo flavor. It's not. I don't actually know if it tastes like it. It's more like beef. They just call it buffalo to make it look American, I think. But they're very, very nice indeed. Terry, thoughts on the City game? Didn't watch it, bro. Sorry. You were brilliant.
No, well, the thing is, like, I don't even think City fans are watching City versus Birmingham because it wasn't on TV, and like, no one's actually going out of their way to watch City versus Birmingham because we all knew what the score was going to be. Like, yeah. And do you know the thing is, now we've said it, City will get Chorley in the next round. That's just the way things go. City will actually get Chorley.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, they generally get easy draws right the way through to semis or finals. Unbelievable. Yeah. Chips and gravy are elite. They are the best. Have you ever had poutine?
No, I don't even know what that is.
So, I mean, when you find out what it is, you're like, it's got a posh name. It must be French because it's from Canada, and it's chips and gravy with cheese, like grated cheese sprinkled on top. They sell it in the McDonald's and stuff over there, and they all raved about it. And I was like, oh, we're gonna go get some poutine. And I was like, oh, you know, like I was a proper little Englander when I was about 15. You know, first time I was in Canada by myself, and I was there, and I go, we're gonna go and get some poutine. And I was like, oh, I don't want to eat this. I'm not going to like it. And then it's nice. And also, they've done me as well. They said, we're going to go out and get beaver's tail. And I thought, I don't want to eat
beaver's tail.
Being young, like, I was like, I don't want to eat beaver tail. Like, why do I want to eat a beaver's tail? You know, you're sitting there like, I tried oxtail once, and that was horrible.
Yeah.
It's like a big donut that's shaped like a beaver's tail. And I was like, he got me. He got me. Right. KFC or McDonald's? What are you? KFC or McDonald's?
You see, I'm KFC, but it's KFC, but it's McDonald's chips. That's the thing. McDonald's chips are elite. They're unrivaled. Apart from maybe Burger King. Burger King actually do some banging chips.
See, for me, if I could get a hybrid, it would be. You know what? I like fried chicken, but KFC isn't my favorite. I don't know if they have these outside of the East End of London, but we had something that used to be called. It's called Papa's now. It used to be called Sam's, but then it turned to Papa's. Not Papa John's, but it's called Papa's Chicken. The best chicken ever. But I like fried chicken. So I'd go KFC for the fried chicken, McD's for the chips and a milkshake, and then Burger King to get like a burger. Like if I was going to have like a real...
Bacon double XL. Oh,
that's my burger, bro.
Oh, unrivaled.
For fast food, it's good to get like
£7, but it's a good £7 well spent.
I love that sort of stuff. Although I'm on a diet at the minute. Someone says Nando. Listen, Nando's is all right, but honestly, if someone said to me now we can get like a KFC like tower bucket or Nando's, I'd pick the KFC over Nando's. Maybe, I definitely would. Do you know what's really good as well? You ever had a Wendy's?
No, I've never been.
More in the state, right? So
Yeah.
they do this thing called, I think it's called the Grand Slam, and it's basically like 4 meat patties in the squared meat in it. That is like a gut buster. That as you sitting down for the rest of the day holding your stomach. Especially as I got older, there's no doubt. What's this? Havertz, 2 assists in 2 games. Is this the start of something? What do you reckon, Dave?
Everyone has been talking about how his second half of the season tends to be better than his first half. But again, it's Morecambe. Like, people, like, I still see in the comments, people are like, oh, David, just allow Mason Mount, he scored today. And I'm like, yeah, I know he scored, but I'm not rating anyone based on this performance. Like, it is just Morecambe. Morecambe had COVID like 2 weeks ago. We can't be sat here being like, oh, well, we're fantastic. Like, it can't, it can't be doing that. We can't be like.
Do you know what's really interesting at the minute? Arsenal fans, they're on the rise, bruv. They're on the rise.
Yeah, Arsenal, they've been giving it lip. You know what? The odd Arsenal fan I've been happy for. No, I'm 2. Igal took some, so I was like, okay, we'll let Igal have some. But Kesh as well. In the group chat, you see it now. Kesh is more like not handing out banter, but like he's more involved in the conversation. Back when they were losing, like Arsenal fans didn't even want football to exist. Like if it could disappear, like they would have happily had it gone. But now they're in a good streak. They're like, oh, yes, we're back. They don't want to say it, but they're thinking we're back. We're gonna win. We're gonna win.
110% is there. You can see it and feel it. It's 100% on. You can just see the sort of, oh, if we win a couple more, you know, I can see on the tip of their tongues 2 more wins and it's top 4 races on. They want to say it, and it's there. It is there.
If they were 10 points away, I think they're 10 points off the top or something, or like 12 points, and it's like the same gap between like relegation and top and being from the top. If you went a couple games ago and asked them, are they in a relegation battle? They say no. If they win 2 more games, guarantee one of them is going to come out with we're in a title race. If they'll be like, if the teams above us keep performing the way that we do, that they've been doing, and we keep on our streak, we're going to be tough. And I can see it already. I can see it.
I think what's going to end up what you end up happening in these situations is like, I can't wait to see. I've got Lee Gunner coming on Tuesday, 5 o'clock. He's going to be on the show because I want to get his perspective, because of course he ain't going to have changed his mind about the quality of this team and where Arsenal are. But they're now 4 wins from 4. And what I've kind of seen in the social media dynamic is you had sort of the rat army, as I'd call them, right? They were sort of, see, we told you, like we were right. Look how bad we are, right? It's gone wrong, except we were right. And you got to a point where the Arteta inners either switched, they either defected, or they just, as you said, they wanted football to disappear. Like Kesh had some moments on our channel where like I felt like Jeremy Kyle, bro. I was like, I don't know what to do here. Like, this is mad. You know what I mean?
There have been moments where I'm thinking this guy's actually going to cry. Like, the way he was talking, it was like hitting him personally. And
he took it personal. And then, but now, and I'm not saying Kesh is doing this, they've won 4 on the bounce, and you can just start to see the murmurings of them turning around to the Arteta out crew and saying, see, and the thing of it is, the Ollie outs and Ollie ins do this. Why I can see it coming, because it just becomes a game of tennis. So the Ollie outers were out in full. A few people said to me, "Oh, you not like everyone see my channel?" I've already filmed the majority of it. I'm just going to wait until after today's games to finish it. But I filmed the fan channel review show, and a lot of people have said, "Oh, you're not pissed off with what Rance has said." I'm like, not really. Like Rance can say what he wants. It's not gonna. I don't think it's right what he said in terms of I don't agree with saying I hate like that. I don't understand how he can hate Ollie, but I'm kind of cool with it in that regard, because what I know is that's because we had a bad performance last night and it was an opportunity for him to push his agenda. What I also know is when we beat Burnley, certain other people are going to push their agenda. I'm just in the middle of it all, where there are elements of what Rant says that I agree with, and there's elements of what the sort of Ollie inners say that I agree with, and I just feel like the real truth is somewhere kind of in the middle. And I like watching both sides just go at each other one after the other. Like if we win our next 2 games, Ollie outers are dead for a little while. But let's just say then 6 games down the line, City have caught us and gone in front of us by a point. They're back out again because they'll be like, see, if he was a better manager, he would have kept the, it's how it's going to be. And Arteta in and out is going to be like that I don't actually think now, unless you get a manager that comes in and from day one, he's just great. I don't think it's ever going to go away now for any club.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty much going to be it now for the foreseeable in football, where let's just say Lampard gets sacked tomorrow. We keep it on Chelsea show. Lampard gets sacked tomorrow, and you bring in Tuchel. There'll be some from day one that want him and don't want him. And you'll get an in and an out crew almost from day one. And that will never go away. That will stay. Unless he wins 3 titles on the bounce, is nearly always, like, unless it's perfect. Unless it's like what you've seen from Klopp in the last few years, straight away will change.
No, literally, like I can already see it. Because one day Lampard will get sacked. That is true. Like, that's a simple fact. I can already see, like, the fans that have backed Lampard so much are going to be so angry about it that the next manager, they're instantly going to want him out, because they'll still want Lampard back in, and they'll just keep on, like, the things that they were saying Lampard, oh, it's fine, he can get away with this, will be the exact things they'll attack Tuchel for, because he's experienced and so on. Like, again, someone asked me the other day, if we finish second this season, would you still be Lampard out? And I said, for me, it's not even about the position that I have a problem with. It's just more about the other, like, he's like, genuinely, I think he's an awful, like, manager of the squad. Like, today, like, everyone today was talking about before the game and before the lineups came out, like, how 6 of our youth products has been promoted to the first team for this game. And I'm thinking, well, it's Morecambe, so at least like 3 or 4 of them will be on the bench, and only one of them will stay. I'm surprised more people haven't kicked off about it, considering how much people talk about our youth. There are just certain things about Lampard where it's like, he can improve the position all he wants, but he's got to improve in these areas for me to change.
Yeah,
and it's not.
Yeah.
And it's not even, it's not like that. It's not, I don't, again, but it's like, it's not, when I talk about Mason Mount and Lampard, it's not like I want these guys to fail. I feel like that's one thing people don't understand. Like, yeah, Rance is Ollie out, but he doesn't want Man United to fail. Like, he wants to be proven wrong. And he wanted Ollie to win the other day against City to put you in a final. Like, that's what every normal fan would want.
You know, mate, do you know what it comes down to? It's a case of, this is the thing, everybody has. And I don't really know what the remedy for it is. And I'm not trying to search for a remedy, because I'm getting to a point where I don't care too deeply for it. People have people all generally want the same thing, but everybody has a different sort of level of patience, time, expectation, and style of which they want it done. So when I heard what Rance said last night, again, I don't agree with, like, the language you use towards, like, sort of Maguire and towards McTominay. I generally wouldn't talk about, as best I can, I try not to talk about players and my managers like that. Just my preference. But he's his own person. He can do what he wants. I sort of feel like at the end of the day, he wants to win, but he wants to win in a particular style. And this is why I don't think you can ever come to a resolution over this, because Ollie could win the league. He isn't going to change his mind because he doesn't like the style of which things are being done. The only way I suppose there's a resolution to it is for the club to come out and say, this is the style of football that we're going to play, and this is the kind of attitude of player and kind of personnel that we want. And that's it. The problem is they can't come out and say that, because you tell the world the kind of player you're trying to purchase and why, and it's going to add a premium to transfers. But people have just got to calm down. It's Rance's view, it's Rance's opinion, it's what he thinks and it's what he feels. Let him crack on with it. And you know, if you don't like it, don't watch him, block his Twitter account. And do you know what? If you don't go onto his YouTube channel, and if you block his Twitter account, do you know that it's highly unlikely that you'll ever see anything that he says or does? It's actually impossible. Like, the amount of people that come in my comments to have a go at me every show, tell me how bad I am and how wrong I am. I'm like, bruv, I know you really like me. You're here every day. If you didn't like me, you just legitimately wouldn't watch. And that's what my response to it would be. I don't agree with all the things that Rance says or the way in which he goes about things sometimes, but I respect the fact that he's allowed to go and do that. And I will protect, and what I would say is I would protect and fight for his freedom of speech to be able to say it. So when people say he should be shut down, he should be, why? No, he shouldn't. If you don't like it, just don't watch it. It's as simple and it's straightforward as that. But in terms of the Ollie in, Ollie out, Lampard in, Lampard out, Arteta, I think it's here to stay. And I think the next new managers, as you say, there'll be a different reason. So if Poch came in tomorrow, I know he's at PSG, but let's just say he did, you'd probably see that Rance would give Poch a lot more leeway. Why? Because he likes Poch, the style, the way he behaves, the things he says. But that's normal. We all do that in life. If you think about your group of friends, your wider group, there are certain mates of yours that could say something to you, you let them get away with it. Others where you'd be like, shut your mouth, bruv. Like different thresholds. And that's just the way we are as human beings. And I think I'm just at a stage now where I don't think there's any point. No point. I challenge people's opinions so I understand them, but I'm just not going to try. And I know I'm guilty of this. I know I've tried to change people's opinions in the past. No, think like me. I'm right. No, you're wrong because of these reasons. I can say you're wrong because of X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to try and change anyone's minds anymore. It's an absolute waste of time. I see people do it with you, the Mason Mount conversations. And I'm like, well, he's never actually said Mason Mount is trash. He's just said, I think we can he either needs to develop more in these areas or we can get better than him. And I'm sort of like, that's the overarching view of what I hear. I'm like, that's not really offensive. You're not saying the geezer should be put against the wall.
No, literally, this is my thing. I've never said like, oh, I think he's awful. We should never play for Chelsea. This is not my thing. My thing is that I want us to play 4-2-3-1 because I feel like that's the best way to get the best out of all our players, right? And you look, and I've been saying it for like weeks now. I've been saying, I look at United and the whole system's built around Bruno. Look at Spurs, the whole system's built around getting the best out of Kane and Son. City, Kevin De Bruyne. And then there's us, and it's like the person we're building it around has the poorest quality out of all of the top 5 teams or top 6 teams. So of course we're going to end up with like looking like one of the worst teams. Like if we build our system to the point where we get the best out of Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, and Hakim Ziyech, we'll be a better team overall because they are a higher quality of player than Mason Mount. It's like, and it's not about. Of course, I want Mason Mount to do well. People think I go into games and when he has a bad game, I'm like, yes, I'm so excited. No, because if he has a good game, I'm in a better mood because we win the game. Like if the system's going to be built around him, he needs to have a good game every single game, and that's just my point. I don't hate it. I want him to do so well, and I think. And when I remember earlier on when I was like, "What do you expect from him?" And I was like, I expect just more. I don't know how to explain it. It's like the same thing with Bernardo Silva. It's like everyone's told me about how good he is. When I watch him, I just feel very underwhelmed. Where I don't know how to explain it, but I just expect more.
Mate, listen, the way you just said that there, that's how I feel when I watched Wilfried Zaha as an example. It's the way people talk about him. I expect more from him. I feel the same when I watch Leeds United. I feel like I expect more than I get, and that's because of like if someone if you read a good recommendation for a movie, like okay, well I expect this to be when everybody's what film is it I watched recently? Everyone said was great. I went and watched Tenet, and I thought it was good, but it wasn't as good. Everyone said it's better than it. I was told it's better than Inception and better than Interstellar, and Interstellar and Inception are 2 of the greatest films I've ever seen in my life. And I thought, this is going to be amazing. And that was my fault because I was like, this is going to be great. And then I watched it and I was like, it's good, but it's nowhere near those other 2 films. So it left me feeling, it's a bit like, I like the film, Chris Nolan still. I like The Prestige, but The Prestige isn't as good as The Dark Knight. So if I went in thinking this will be as good as The Dark Knight, I'm going to be disappointed. And I kind of feel like that's the thing for me. And I speak about what other fans say a lot. I think it's important too, because reflecting at where they're at. And as I say, I go back to the original point of this. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. The notion of in versus outers, even with the new manager, but people just swap camps or some people stay in the same camp and you're never going to really get rid of it. I suppose I'm just trying to change my, what's the way I'm saying this? I'm trying to change my approach to this in the sense of I'm just going to try to be better. And I use eye test as an example. Eye test has made me explode. The only time I think I'll still fight back is when I hear people any about someone. So if someone comes out and tells an outright lie or an unsubstantiated stat like Rashford makes more mistakes than any other player in his position, I'm going to defend that because I need to see proof of that. You're putting out a fact. When people say things like Bruno loses the ball more than anybody else in the Premier League, you've got to show me that's true before I sit back. Do you get my cut? Because that's not an opinion anymore. You're putting out that's where I'll challenge it. But if you're like, I just don't like Bruno Fernandes because of these 3 or 4 reasons, I'm like, I sit there and think about it sometimes. I'm like, how does that change my life? And you know what? There's always going to be thousands of people online that are going to push against your favorite players, especially if your favorite players are good. But I suppose my view is this: you know that You know the good play. You know that Werner and Havertz are good in your team. Why? Because everyone's jumping on them and bantering them. Have you noticed that no one really banters you about Mason Mount?
Yeah, exactly. No, this is my thing. I've been seeing it for weeks. Liverpool fans, right? Whenever like Jota does well, it's not yay Jota did well. It's look how much better he's doing than Werner. And to me, I'm like, even though you're all saying you think he's dead, you all know he's a good player because first of all, your own manager and team, who you consider are the greatest like transfer team in the world, were like, this is the guy we need to get. So you'd be going against not only your own board, but you're also going against your own manager. You both said that they're amazing. So either your manager's now stupid and that would have been the wrong transfer, or you're still butthurt about him rejecting. And they all know that they got rejected. For whatever, he wasn't like, I don't want to go to Liverpool because it's an awful place. It wasn't that sort of rejection. It was just simply, he's showing me more interest. I'm going to go with him. It was,
yeah, no, mate, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, there's a comment here saying Terry, but I think he's saying it's true about Rashford and true about Bruno that they one makes more mistakes, the other loses the ball more. Let's just say for a moment that it is true. So what? Like, think about like, okay, so what do you want me to do with that information? So the club can go and find better. Yes, maybe. Are there that many better
than Rashford and Bruno?
Are there that many better in world football that are attainable, that the club can go out now and sign, that you know are categorical, and I say it's categorically going to be better? The answer is no. Because we're not buying anybody from Liverpool, anyone from City. Very hard to get anyone that they want off of Bayern Munich or Real Madrid or Barcelona or PSG. You're not buying anyone off Chelsea unless they're not wanted. So where else can you? Again, people have their preference and say, yeah, I test and say Isak from Real Sociedad, right? And I'm sure Aaron's got a suggestion of who's better, and I'm sure KJ's got a suggestion of who's better. But that ain't a guarantee, is it? That isn't someone that's outright performing those people in terms of ability, performances, consistency, and numbers that you know is going to fit into this team. By the way, into the team and system that you say is run by a dead manager, and it perform to the same level. So for me, it's a case of I don't care if 3 or 4 other clubs have better versions of Rashford or better versions of Bruno. I'm really happy with what I've got in those areas. Does that make sense? You can't keep shopping around. You're always going to find something better. Like if you keep looking. Like, I had a friend like that. It was like that with girlfriends. He'd always find a problem with them. She's lovely. Oh, but when she laughs, I see a little vein in her forehead. I've got to get rid of it. Bro, that's your inadequacies, I think. I don't know what you're looking for. You're never actually going to find perfection. And that's the one thing I think I'm getting to a realization of. I don't think any manager and any squad, you're going to be left there going, all 23 players are banging and amazing, and the manager had no thoughts. It's just not going to happen. So I need to get myself into a process where, of course, sometimes you call for a manager's head. You've got to do that sometimes. But I think sometimes people have just got to take some advice from Disney and let it go. They do. I think they do, bro.
Oh my days! This is my again. We're in for some reason we're linked to Haaland. Like, yeah, of course, if we find Haaland, I'd love Haaland. I'd love Haaland at my team. But at the same time, we don't need it. There's just I don't know where he fits.
Do you know who makes you laugh? That is it Khalid? Is that his name? He's the sort of he owns the warehouse. Chelsea fan. He makes me laugh, right? Because he's not a horrible bloke. I've never seen him tweet anything that's nasty, horrible, vindictive. He's all just loves Chelsea. But like, I'll see a link to a player and then he tweets it out, and his Twitter goes mad. And I'm sort of like, are you really getting Haaland? Like, honestly, I mean this sincerely to Chelsea fans. I think you sign more than 2 players in the summer, you're in trouble. This is going to take you the rest of this year to get the team to click. If you go out and buy 3 or 4 more new players, it's just going to be.
No, I reckon. Okay, we're going to get a new goalkeeper. That's one. I think that the Donnarumma thing, it does. I mean, it is Raiola, but it does make sense. And goalkeepers, again, one of those positions where it's like you can just swap them in and out, and it tends to be pretty okay. So I reckon we might sign a centre back and a DM. I think that's probably going to be it. I'm not expecting much. And the thing is, I know the DM is going to be Declan Rice. The thing is, I don't, especially for the price tag. I think Declan Rice is a great player. Like, genuinely, when people have been talking about Calvin Phillips from Leeds, I'm literally, my point has always been, You're only into him because he's the new kid on the block, and because if you're all invested in Bielsa's system, he looks fantastic. He's had loads of really poor games. He's been hooked at half time, but that's not the point. My thing is that when he goes to a different team, is he going to be as good in like that transition? I'd be more confident in Declan Rice transitioning to a bigger team than I would be Calvin Phillips. So I've already accepted that Declan Rice is probably going to be a Chelsea player. I just hope it's not for stupid money, because if it's for like 50, 60 mil, he's going to have to start. And then like, if he starts, he's got to change the system up, or he's going to play Kante at 8. And it's just going to be like, just stop forcing all these players into the squad. And it's going to take a long time for it to like,
I hear that, mate. I hear that completely. It's gonna. Do you know, this next couple of weeks are going to be amazing for football. They really are. The transfer window, the top of the table clash. Like someone there says, no one should call for Ollie's head because we're about to go top of the table. And I'm like, but that doesn't matter. If you're Ollie outer, there's always going to be an excuse. The league's weaker. Everybody else started badly. We've had a good run of form only. It's purple. But like, there's always going to be a reason. So if you want to celebrate it, you celebrate it and be happy. Of course, anyone that's negative, it's going to attract a lot of attention from rival fans, because rival fans want to dampen on whatever you're doing. And let me just say this now. Forget Ollie outers for a minute. If Man United win the league this year, it's going to be shat on by every rival fan anyway. For one reason or another. Liverpool's decline, City were over the hill, too many games, no fans, but whatever. There's going to be ample thing. VAR, too many penalties. It's already started. So I just say to Man United fans, grow some thicker skin. And this goes for me because I've been triggered by these things in the past, and I've realized I don't need to be. If you want to celebrate it and enjoy it, do it. Do it. And if you don't want to hear from people that are negative, hit the mute and block button. Don't go onto their YouTube channels or their Instagram pages or whatever. Enjoy it. I'm enjoying where we are. So Rance being upset, or Aaron being upset, or Saeed being upset, or Flex or Goldbridge, I don't know if they all are. I'm just throwing out their names. If any of them are upset with us being top, I feel for them. I don't care though.
You could win the league, and if PSG won the Champions League, they'd be like, "See, if we had Poch, we'd have done double."
Yeah. It's like It's like cool, but I don't care. I'm not losing any sleep over that, bruv. I'm doing me. I'm happy, and I think in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've really come to that realization more than ever before. Terry, you clown. I taught. You don't get triggered. Everybody gets triggered, bro. What I just sitting there, you see, I love these people. I just said the other day, I'm not getting triggered by your stupidity. Ram's with us. Ram, what do you want to say, sunshine?
Yo, what's good, everybody? You all right?
Yeah, everybody. David.
Is Louis Barry still running around in your head?
Nah, Reece Williams is still chasing after him, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a good confidence booster for Chelsea. Obviously, Kai Havertz got an assist and a goal today. Even though it's Morecambe, it'll still be good for his confidence. And yeah, Mason Mount scored a brilliant goal. And David, what's your thoughts on that? I know you already said it, but I just want to see you say.
Again, I said it again. It was a good goal. And what I was asking from him is exactly what he did today. So I can't be angry.
So basically, you're taking credit for it.
Yes, 100%.
Ram, I've got to call you on something. You said in the comments you're disappointed in me about what?
Oh, that was about the Christopher Nolan thing. But that's.
I want to hear this.
Look, I was one of those people that said to watch Tenet because it's better than Inception and it's better.
Were you? I forgot it was you, but I knew someone told me that.
Yeah, it was me. I was like, it's my opinion because I thought he took a load of risk in that film. And somehow he made it work. That's my thought.
Risks. What risks did he take?
Because all the thing about time travel and like going back in time, reversing it, and all that. It's very easy to not make everything make sense. And he somehow did it.
Didn't make sense.
What do you mean?
I was winding you up, bro. Don't say nothing bad about
No, to be fair, one of the actors did come out and he said there were points where I actually had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
I only watched it once, and I watched it in the cinema, and I actually think Chris Nolan films are not great for cinema watching in terms of understanding what's happened. and every film that comes along gets harder. Like Interstellar, I have watched 14 times now, and I pick something new up. I'm like, I didn't even hear that last time, and whatever. But I like the science in all these films, and then obviously there's science fiction within it because time travel is actually. I saw a demonstration the other day actually by what's his name? The English dude, Brian Cox. Time travel is actually possible, and he did it on stage. He did time travel on stage. Very not to how we look at it, but he was showing how. It was interesting, right? So he moved somebody up, and I can't explain it right because I'm not a scientist. But this guy was on a chair, and he had like a light like this, and he was moving it up and down like this, and it was to a counter. And then they turned the lights off, so you could just see this thing. It was like a glow in the dark stick thing. And then they moved him up and down as he was doing this. They moved him up and down, and they were basically. But then what they did, the camera on his head that was filming it, and then the camera from the front where you could see the whole thing. And what they basically explained is how the time to travel, the light to travel from the bottom to the top in the up and down motion was less than it was to do what looks like a triangle motion that you saw from the audience when they turned the lights off. And he was basically saying how that's basically it was to do with light. That light, because it's longer distance, took longer to travel to your eyes in the up and down. That's why you see it faster, even though they were moving exactly at the same time. He says you're talking about milliscules of seconds, but he went, that is time travel. And you got to go watch it. Just put like Brian Cox time traveling and watch it. When he explains it, it makes sense. But it blew my mind. And he was basically saying if we could just, if we were just into a situation to be able to harness it in a bigger way, you would be able to time travel. And I was like, that's just mad. Like, I thought this is maybe my ignorance. I'm a moron. I thought it was all just nonsense. Like you couldn't actually do it. There was no test to prove that the theory even kind of works. And I was like, nah, man, that's a madness, bro. Like Brian Cox is like, he was even talking about on one podcast. I then got into like a wormhole watching him. Right? He's saying that with physics, lightsabers are possible. They're not impossible to make. And I was like, could actually make real ones. I was mad.
Like, you can make force fields and stuff. You just you need like a skyscraper worth of energy.
There's all these sorts of things, and he was basically saying how all these different things to do with like time travel and wormholes, and he goes, all the theory works, the maths works, we just don't have, like, so they were talking about how you bend time and space basically to create time travel as well, like go through wormholes. And he basically had time travel just, he brought up something that when you see like a supernova, like a shooting star, that's time travel, because that star isn't blowing up there and then. That happened maybe 1 million years ago, but you're only seeing it now. And he explains the concept of why that's time travel. And I'm sort of like, okay, I get what you're saying, right? But he was saying how we know how to bend time in space. We just don't have the materials. There's no material on Earth that we have that could actually bend it. So they know technically how to bend it, but they don't have the materials to actually bend it. And I'm like, see, this is why I get confused with you clever people. You university people like scare me with your knowledge. I was like, this is a madness, bro. I was like, what is this? I'm sitting there watching it, this moron from a council site going, you can bend space in half. That's how I read it. And then they got to the end. He goes, yeah, but we don't have the tools to do it. And then my head's like, then why did you work out how to do it? Because it doesn't make sense. I don't know. That's just my sort of view in it. It's just a madness.
Ram, what do you think of what Michael Oliver said today?
Oh, I'm not really bothered about it right now.
Rack's got a brain. Rack says time slows down as for you as you approach the speed of light. So effectively, you can travel forward, just not backwards. That actually is about what he said. I missed that bit out of my thing. He was basically he explained it like that. Watch some Brian Cox. It'll blow your mind. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. I love that sort of stuff. But there we go. Listen, we're gonna be back later on after Tottenham play Marine at 9 p.m. tonight. The Manchester United podcast, That United Show, is back. I'm on the show tonight. Aaron's on the show. We're previewing the big week ahead. We're going to be talking a bit about the McTominay trending. That's all I'm going to say. The McTominay trending and stuff like that, which was a little bit of fun. Previewing the Burnley game. What does it mean? Listen, everyone, until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon.